This is hot off the press. China officially puts war with the United States on the table. That has huge implications for Australia. My previous video where I talked about the world is very relevant to this video, and I'll be mentioning them towards the end of this video because I don't think people quite understood what I was getting at in the previous video. But before we get started, make sure you click the subscribe button and click the bell icon so don't miss out on anything. December 20th, 2018, only a couple of weeks ago, people, there was a discussion, an institute, a think tank. They got together in Shenzhen, China, to discuss the United States threat. Now, let me read a little bit about what was said there. They're the pride of the US fleet, enormous 100,000 ton, 333 meters long nuclear powered aircraft carriers. Beijing thinks they are, in fact, Washington's Achilles heel. Admiral Li Wan has told an audience in Shenzhen on the ongoing disputes over the ownership of the East and South China Seas could be resolved by sinking two super US carriers. I think it's important to note that we found out through Taiwanese news. We didn't find out on December 20th. Also, so Admiral Lu gave a wide-ranging speech on the state of the Sino-US relations. He's a hawkish military commentator. That doesn't make me feel any better, by the way. He said that it's not simply friction over economics and trade, but was instead a prime strategic issue. Then he went on to declare that China's new and highly capable ballistic and cruise missiles were more than capable of hitting US aircraft carriers, despite them being at the center of a bubble of defensive escorts. And it is what the United States fears the most. That's taking casualties. He said that the US could lose 5,000 servicemen and women, and sinking two of them would let China know how scared the United States really is. He then went on to say that there's five cornerstones of the United States that are open up to exploitation: their military, their money, their talent, their voting system, their fear of adversaries. Then he went on to say that China should use its strength to attack the enemy's shortcomings, attack wherever the enemy is afraid of being hit, wherever the enemy is weak. Then he went on to say that after sinking two aircraft carriers, the United States would be too scared to continue fighting. And then he declared that it would be time to invade Taiwan. And he said that within 100 hours they would be able to take over Taiwan with only losing a couple dozen servicemen and women. Now, Taiwan isn't just some sort of island that they want to take back because they think that they own it. There is a strategic purpose to the Chinese wanting to take back Taiwan, because it's the centerpiece of the United States defense line. See, it's connected with Japan, and Japan will fall if Taiwan is taken. It also gives a direct launching pad into the Philippines. Philippines is already submitted, by the way. And then this admiral went on to say that any country that has challenged China over the South China Sea should beware. And that is a direct threat on us, Australia. What if tomorrow two aircraft carriers were taken down? I know a lot of you guys will probably think, oh, okay, United States, they're just gonna go to war with China and take them down. What if they don't? What if? Think about it. Donald Trump talks a little bit of trash on Twitter. He puts out a few words, and that offends the whole country. The United States has become a soy boy country. It's not the United States of the 1950s. Also, aircraft carriers back in World War II were the most effective, most dangerous weapon. The thing is, that was 70 years ago. Technology has come a long way since then, and China has developed these hypersonic missiles that are so fast you can't actually shoot them down. Now, what if they use some of these hypersonic missiles and they take out some aircraft carriers, and the United States realizes that they're outmatched, they got nothing left They can't really do much. What if? Let's just run this hypothetical, guys. So this is where Walk the World comes into it. And I thought that explaining that these guys have too many connections to politicians and too many connections to the media and the 1% of Australia, I thought that would be good enough for most people, but people are more naive than I thought. Now, Walk the World wanted to take on the RBA over the holding of 99% of our gold in the UK. Then they harassed the RBA until the RBA went silent, and then they had to make up their own theories on what's going on with our gold. And the theory was that we aren't inspecting our gold, and we don't intend on bringing the gold back, so therefore the UK is going to steal our gold. That's offensive to every British person and every Australian person who actually cares about our ally, our allegiance to the UK. And every person who fought and died for this allegiance would be turning in their goddamn graves. How dare these snivelling little shits, especially at a period where we have the United States and China preparing for war with each other on our goddamn doorstep, to be talking shit about one of our most important allies. Now, what they did was they provided evidence. Their evidence was Venezuela. And the UK didn't give their gold back to Venezuela. Do you really think that the UK, which has the Queen's face on a lot of our money, is going to treat us the same as they treat this authoritarian, evil dictatorship in Venezuela? Do you really think that they're going to treat us the same way as Venezuela? Venezuela, since 2008, has been allowing Russian nuclear-capable bombers landing inside of Venezuela as a direct threat to the US. Do you really think that the UK is going to give this evil dictatorship their gold so that they can spend it on nuclear-capable weapons that could attack the United States? Are you really that stupid? And are you also stupid enough to think that they're going to treat Australia, one of their best allies, the same as Venezuela? What a ridiculous idea. Now, I've got my own theory, and you see, this is the problem with economists, is they read graphs. Don't get me wrong, the graph reader can be quite useful, but this charlatan John prick is just overstepped the mark too many times, and this is where he crossed the line, not only with me, but everybody who fought and died for this allegiance that we have with the UK. Throughout history, a global hegemon like the United States has come up against a rising power like China. How many times throughout history that has happened? It's happened 16 times. Now, throughout history, how many times has that ended in huge military conflict? 12 times. So, 2/3 of the times, it's ended in huge war. We are in the 17th time. So we have a 2/3 chance of going to huge military conflict with China. And it's right on our goddamn doorstep. Now, I'm continuing on with the RBA and the gold, and I've got my own theory. You see, I think that China's the biggest threat to Australia, and I focus not only on economics, I also focus on geoeconomics, and most importantly, I think right now in this period of time, I think geopolitics is the most important thing that's happening right now, because we're in a period of strategic competition with China. And if you're stupid enough to think that we're not at war with China, and you're stupid enough to think that that elites within this goddamn country are not being paid off by the Chinese Communist Party, you're an idiot. Now, I'm going to tell you this story about World War II. In World War II, Germany was on Britain's doorstep, and the British Empire was about to collapse. The government felt that it was only a matter of days before Nazi Germany was going to overtake Britain. So they felt that the UK was going to fall, and they had one last chance, and they wanted to have an insurance policy. So what they did was they loaded up all of their gold onto one ship, and that ship had a treacherous voyage to Canada to try and safeguard all of their gold. So all the gold went to Canada. Luckily it survived, and the plan was, if Britain was to fall, they would be able to pay our allies in gold to come back and build a military to come back and take Britain if it fell to the Germans. Now, why is that relevant to today? We see, I don't have any connections to the military. I don't have any connections to politicians. I don't have any connections to anybody else. But one thing I'm able to do is have a look at geopolitics and align things that happened in the past to what's happening right now. Now, we have our gold in the UK. What if China actually did take down 2 aircraft carriers and we went to war? And we listened to Walk the World, these snivelling shits, these baby boomers that have never seen any conflict in their life and know nothing about history. And we brought all of our goddamn gold back to Martin Place. And right on our goddamn doorstep was one of the biggest military conflicts since World War II. And we couldn't get our gold out. And then Britain's going through Brexit and they're having money problems. Think about it. That gold sitting in the UK is an insurance policy for Australia. Why do you think we don't care if we inspect it? Because it's on the balance sheet. It's on the balance sheet, it's an IOU, and the UK is obligated to help us out and use that money to pay off their military. So even if they spend it, it's still on the balance sheet. They could spend all of that gold. We don't care. Because as soon as they spend all the gold, their ships don't disappear. Their nuclear-powered submarines don't disappear. Their aircraft carriers don't disappear, do they, people? It's an IOU, and also they would want to help us as well. But think about it. If they're going through Brexit and it would financially destroy the country, they're going to have to look after themselves. So our insurance policy is holding a certain amount of gold out there, which would grease the wheels in order to create a media campaign to get all of the British behind the war effort. Supply lines will start to be built up, and they will send their military down here to protect Australia. So this is my theory. And what theory do you guys want to go with? Do you want to go with the theory that one of our closest allies is going to goddamn steal our gold and have every person who fought and died for this goddamn country turning in their fucking graves? Or would you like to think about my theory, which is that it's an insurance policy? Think about it, people. The biggest threat to Australia isn't a few digits and graphs and fucking technical analysis. The biggest behemoth is on our goddamn doorstep, and they're considering war with us. Wake up, Australia. Fucking wake up.